Good evening and welcome to the Football Transfer Forum introduces Squad Plus. I say evening, but we are based in England, so it is evening for us and the guys in Europe. Obviously, if you're on the East Coast of the United States, it's going to be the afternoon. And if you're lucky enough to be on the West Coast of the United States, it's a good morning. So I'm Tony Sharkey. I'm the CEO of the Football Transfer Forum. It's really great to have the guys here from Squad Plus. Tonight, we're going to be launching the new MLS documents that they've created. For those of you that haven't heard about Squad Plus before, it started in March 2020. And it really took the summer transfer the summer transfer window by storm in the UK. So loads of agents and clubs were getting their hands on Squad Plus. It was a really useful tool in that particular transfer window, and I think that's one of the reasons why the guys have looked to incorporate other countries, to look at other territories where there's big markets, big transfer markets. So it's my pleasure to have two of the co-founders with us tonight. Jed Searson. Good evening, Jed. How are you?
Not too bad, Tony. Can everyone hear us, guys? Can you hear us there? If you want to put a little message in the box that you can hear us, all right, that'd be a good start as well. I see someone's hand's gone up straight away. So, yep, loud and clear. There you go, Tony. I was just trying to make sure I was covering your back. There you go. Tony, it's great.
How are you? You're all right?
Good. I'm very good. It's actually freezing cold down here in London at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's probably even colder where you are in the northeast of England. But yeah, I'm very well, thank you, and I'm excited and looking forward to this evening. So thanks for organising this for us.
Yeah, no problem. And David, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well. Just come back off the hills with my sledge and my kids, of course, not just me out there. But yeah, thank you very much, Tony, for having us on. Look forward to sharing this with everyone that's here in attendance.
Yeah, so it's really, this webinar is about Squad Plus. Just some housekeeping. We have the chat open. I've shared my details, the Football Transfer Forum details in there. We've shared the website address of Squad Plus. If you want to do a little bit of soft networking and share your own LinkedIn profile, please feel free to do that. If you do want to ask the guys questions, and I know there'll be loads and loads of questions because it's a really new and innovative product. So if there's any questions you want to ask, please stick them in the questions box and I'll try to get through them, whether it's during or a little bit later on in the webinar. So Jed, if you want to get cracking.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, right, so Squad Plus started, it seemed like a world ago now, Tony, but yeah, it was March that it basically we started rolling this out, basically, and it was a concept came from. And my background in football is I worked in professional football for 11 years as a first team scout in the Premier League for West Ham United, and was also I'm also a former chief scout in the English Football League. And so what the idea is, what we created was basically a tool that we have a recruitment meetings in the UK. Again, some of the guys in here tonight work for clubs, will know this as well. As soon as the transfer window closes, the recruitment department gets together and starts working and trying to plot this squad for the next upcoming transfer window and beyond that as well. But obviously, for the last year or so, I've been running my own scouting workshops and working on some agent courses, and obviously I've been on some of Tony's ASA agent courses as well, doing some talking and lecturing as well. And it was an idea of trying to create what we used to do as a recruitment department, trying to use that information and give that information to agents to help them with their career and help them in the transfer windows. And one thing led to another. And rather than just doing this and creating maybe one or two charts and showing what clubs could be looking for in the window from their eyes, we spun it around, and we've done this on loads of different different leagues, and we did last summer, David. I think it was 135 clubs that we covered. I think it was correct. Yeah, so that was the English Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, down to the National League, Scottish Prem, and then beyond that now as well. We've also covered the Scottish Championship and the League of Ireland as well. And obviously our next step up now is to cover the MLS as well, which has now been created. So that's our next opportunity. So I'll explain a little bit more, and I'll get David as well. David, do you want to introduce yourself to the guys as well? Obviously,
Yeah,
David's been one of the scouts who worked for a number of years in the Football League. So David.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name's David. I've worked with Jed when Jed was chief scout at Football League Club. So I was one of his more local regional scouts. I was looking more at the National League and League Two teams. So I was, trying to find players, trying to unearth individuals, but also looking at just how teams were setting up in certain leagues. So that's a little bit about my sort of football background. So I've worked in sort of National League and Football League as well. The idea of Squad Plus, we kind of came together ourselves and thought, you know what, there is something that isn't out there. How can we make the agency, how can we make National League football or football in itself a lot easier for agents and clubs? And that was kind of the brainchild or the early thinking behind Squad Plus, and it evolved over the years multiple times, over the year multiple times, until you sort of see what you're going to see today. So on the screen, you'll see all of the leagues that we covered last summer. It was an arduous task last summer. As Jed said, we covered a number of teams across the Football League, and then we ventured out into the wonderful leagues of Ireland and Scotland, as well as the English leagues. And we had the idea of, well, why not the MLS? The MLS, there's an obvious non-barrier, which is the language barrier. There is an obvious non-barrier there. So why not move into the MLS, and why aren't more of our, English-born or European-born players moving across into that league? That league is an upcoming league. It's a great showcase league, and we're seeing quite a few players now coming across from the MLS into the European league. So it's quite a great time to be in on the MLS.
Also, we know as well that this tool that we've been using, and we've had nearly 100 agents was using this tool that we created last summer. The last transfer window in the UK in last summer, which was an extended window, as Tony will well know. It was the longest window in living history.
It went on and on, Jed. It went absolutely on forever, didn't it?
It was the longest window ever, and then we've just probably had the shortest, probably non-active window of all time as well in the UK as well after that. But it was something we created, but also the tool that we had for obviously the European agents we're using. Obviously, we want to share this same tool with the guys in the States and South America.
I know, Jed. Well. I was using it myself in the summer window, and it was just so brilliant for me. Just to give you, as an agent, you have lots of conversations in the early part of a window or pre the window to try and assess what do you need, what you're looking for, what positions do you require. And I've been an agent for a long time, and that is a real tough process, and it's an arduous process. And by me using Squad Plus, it really helped me to focus and really identify what each club was requiring, and that's why I'm so pleased to be helping the guys spread the message of what Squad Plus is all about.
Great. Only it said it's just said really intimate. There was a lot of discussion we had with you in the first place, and said, you giving feedback as an agent again. How can we actually help the agents out there and make the life easier and more streamlined? And what we've achieved now is the tool potentially for every agent needs to have this. So I'll let David go a little bit more into it now.
All right. So the idea is kind of what is Squad Plus? So that we are Squad Plus, Football Intel. We believe we put the intelligence into football recruitment. We've now ventured and we've got some great individuals that we've been able to recruit as sort of interns over in the States to help us with this. But we ventured out into the MLS. This is what the charts would look like. You'll see a team chart, which highlights all of the players in age brackets. We have 18 to 23 in the top bracket, but there's there's a few more zoomed in copies, but I'm just going to give you a brief overview on this one. 18 to 23 bracket towards the top, 24 to 28 in the middle, and then 29 plus. So you really do get an idea or a flavor of what that team's makeup, what that team's roster really does look like. And the second sheet, which is sort of closest to us with the red and yellow one, is what we call the heat map. It identifies the areas within those specific teams that we believe, and we'll come on to what we mean by we believe, what we believe or is the needs of that individual club. So Tony, who is Squad Plus for?
Well, I mean, I know it's for me. It's definitely for agents. It's a fantastic tool for agents. But I know from seeing the number of clubs that, you know, it was definitely well received by clubs, you know, particularly the recruitment staff of clubs wanting to track where players were, you know, looking at, I mean, there was some free agent stuff as well. Are you going to talk about that?
Yeah, no, we have the free agents list as well. I mean,
that was useful.
It was a helpful tool as well,
Yeah.
that we had with clubs as well. I mean, said it was nearly 100 agents, but we had 33 clubs using the information in England and Scotland last year as well, because they wanted this information to help with their recruitment.
Yeah,
great to have those clubs on board, because also they give us some more insight in the work that we was doing. So it was a real good connection. And again, we would like to have the same connection with the clubs in the MLS as well, because we feel the information that we're gathering and the free agent list that we create as well, a live free agent list as well, rather than just the name of the player and position. We go a lot more detailed into that as well. We would like to have relationships with the clubs in the States as well.
I think
we know this information would be helpful for them as well.
Yeah, I think what did help was having those sort of connections with the clubs. They can really let us know the contract information, which isn't readily available. It's not at your fingertips, the contract information of some of the players, and some of those clubs are able to help with filling in a few gaps for us. So this is what our squad charts display and highlight. You can find this actually on our website, a lot of this information. But essentially what you'll see in the top sort of semicircle, you'll see Julian Lamy there, is the player in red. He's age 20, and the furthest number on the other side was that individual, that person's contract was going to run out in 2020. The green arrow demonstrated that individual had gone out on loan to Wimbledon, and it played 2 games at Wimbledon. And on there, we've given what foot they are and their height. And on the more updated sheets, which you'll see towards the bottom semicircle, and on the MLS ones especially, we've now gone into sort of the stats of how many games they've played. So Julian Lamy back at the top played 3 games for his home club, and also we're given that the sort of on loan attendance, on loan games played as well. Down towards the bottom circle, you'll see we've given the goals and the assists, and we also have put down the average minutes played. So we're trying to give a real idea of what it is that individual has done at that club. Because if you start thinking about, well, I've got this player, I've got this right-sided, or in this case, this left-sided midfield player, and you were going to, you know, think about moving that left-sided midfield player to this club in particular, the one that's at the top sort of semicircle, you'll notice that they've already got 4 left-sided midfielders all around the same age. And we're trying to make your life so much more easier in saying, actually, this might not be the club for your left midfielder. It might be that you need to look somewhere else for that individual, because this club actually brought 2, Josh Koroma and Hakeeb, in on loan from other clubs. So they're quite well stocked in that position.
Well, we just try to give you the details, guys. We try to map out, you'll see in a moment when we show the examples. We're just trying to give you a real clear picture of what the squad has. So regarding what players in what age groups, what positions, obviously, within those positions, were they first team regular? Did they play over 50% of the games? How many minutes they've played on average? The goals scored, the assists, the contract length as well. And again, we know most of these details if we can get hold of it, and we're pretty successful in what we do. Yeah. Then we go into even more detail on the player as well. So the height of the player, preferred passing foot, and again, this is also really important. Certain positions on the pitch, this is really important information. And again, if you're armed with this information, you know what the club's got in their roster, and you know what players have got and what areas that maybe the players have lost. Then again, it highlights to you exactly, right, I've got a player that could potentially fit that bill, rather than go in and just really guessing and trying to approach clubs and not really having what they need. This arms you with the information you need. And I think this is what Tony, this is what you loved about this when you saw it.
I mean, the other thing, and I asked Jed this over the summer, and you know, all of these players have been checked and double checked for position, for feet, height, so that you know you actually I find on Transfer Market on Wyscout sometimes the position's wrong, or it's not the foot that they're actually playing with. But I know that these are checked so thoroughly, and every single player. I mean, that's why I know David says it's a massive job in the summer. How many clubs was it? Over 120 clubs. Every player in every club was checked visually and double checked. So that, because I think, and that was the accuracy of it. It was funny actually, because I know, Jed, you were posting when a player was signed in the summer and it was in the red zone, where it was, you know, like a centre half came in the red zone in that club, and you started posting saying, oh, we got another one right. But it became boring for you, didn't it? Because you were getting that many right. It was just like there's no news really. It was the first couple were good, but
it was obvious there. Again, I said, I know this is what goes on in recruitment departments. David knows as well, and these are the discussions you have, and it's quite clear what positions need filled, and so on and so on, and you can work it out. But it's not just a case, okay, they've sold a left back, need to get a left back in at the same position. It's far more than that, and we're going to try to explain to you tonight a little bit more about that as well. And you can really see how we come up with the heat maps and how squads are built, how they're used, what clubs need to have as a first choice player and backup and so on in certain positions. And then we can see with their playing formations, the style of play as well, what do they actually need in those set positions. And again, it's just trying to make, as an agent's life, this is a massive time-saving tool. I mean, some agents may go and do the homework. I imagine that most will try to look at a squad and try to think, okay, right, does my goalkeeper, is it needed by this club? Well, we've done it for every club. And maybe not just a goalkeeper, maybe what type of goalkeeper, i.e. experience and the age of the player as well. So make sure that, but we'll explain a little bit more of that to you.
I mean, the guys in the States might not be that familiar with Rotherham, but they're a good club in the Championship in England. And I know from experience, this was absolutely spot on in the summer. There was a shift around keepers. There was centre half come in. Right, I know it was really spot on. But obviously, we're talking about the States tonight, guys. So it's soccer, not football. It's the Soccer Transfer Forum, not football. And we're talking about the MLS. So, you know, it's a whole new ball game over there.
So just a little bit on the sort of heat maps. So we use the information from the squad charts to generate our heat maps. One of the interesting things we found in the summer with the heat maps is using a lot of our contacts within the clubs. We were actually getting information from the clubs that was feeding directly into our heat maps. So, you know, it might be that they are in the market for a right back, for a left back, and they were given a specific age ranges they were after, and we was able to really let our agents, let our clients know exactly what those clubs were needing.
Yeah. Jed, I've got a question. We'll take this question because we're on that. I mentioned height, and Vasily says, thank you for the question. He says, height, what value does this information have, Jed?
Massive, absolutely massive. Definitely in certain positions, particularly. And when you mean by certain positions, obviously in the central defender area, it's a massive one. Obviously winning heading duels, and the goalkeeping area as well. Again, if a set piece wise, if a team wants to be organised, and we know what teams organise that way as well. And if they're looking to win games potentially with set pieces, they are going to want good headers of the ball and tall players, and it's really important.
I mean, Vasily, Sorry, Jed, go on.
Sorry, Tony, go on. Sorry.
I would say, I don't know whether you know a guy called Tony Pulis, a top manager over here. Tony loved his back line, his right back, his centre backs, and his left back to be all over 6'2". So there was no point in going with a 5'6" quick right fullback because he just wouldn't be interested. That was a little bit of knowledge that was useful to me, and I think it is a useful stat.
Yeah, I mean, and just as that one, Tony's another one is the we're going to talk about that as well, quite a little bit later on as well. Even the footing of the player, especially regarding centre backs, central defenders. Are they able to get the goalkeeper if they're playing left side centre back? Can they get the ball off the goalkeeper and receive the ball on the left side, or will they always have to switch onto the stronger right foot? Small little details, but again, these are things that clubs will be looking for. And again, your player fits that pattern of what they're after, then potentially you could be on a winner.
All right, the last bit. I mean, this was always quite handy in the summer. A lot of people that bought Squad Plus in the summer really did like the team playing info, the actual not the contact information, not emails and phone numbers, but the LinkedIn profiles. Whether they were members of the Football Transfer Forum, we identified those individuals and we created links towards sort of their LinkedIn pages, but we kind of give you the names of individuals that you can contact within those clubs. We don't give out emails, we don't give out phone numbers. That's a professional thing. But we also spoke about the team playing info, a very brief sort of formations that they play, the position they finished in within the league, the type of back line they play, little brief snippets that if you've got loads of players, if you're an agent, you've got loads of players, you want to be able to go armed with that information to the club. I know even now I'm not associated to a club right now, but I get sort of blanket cold emails and LinkedIn messages with agents trying to sell me their players. And even from my perspective, I look at that and go, I probably wouldn't contact you back. But actually, if you came knowing more about my club, if I was at a club, knowing which formation they play and why your player would be best suited to that position, that formation, and why your player would be better than my player in that position, using the stats and figures that we provide, I'm pretty sure you'd get more than a foot in the door.
David, I've been at the Football Forum with Tony there. I've sat on both sides of the table. I've been there as a chief scout at forums, and again, when an agent approaches you and said I worked for a very small club back in the UK called Grimsby Town, which most people don't know, and I'll be approached from agents from all over the world. Trying to promote their players to me, and I would say, "Do you even know where Grimsby is?" And they'd say, "No." And again, it's a small little thing. And again, so it's that the first impression. Now we're arming you with tools that when you approach a club, and you know what formation they're playing, and you know potentially your player could suit that system, and you know how they've been playing, what the change of formations are. Your player might be suitable. Potentially, if you've got a fullback who's probably maybe in their starting to edge into the later 30s of their career, and the team that they're potentially approaching play with wing backs, your player probably isn't suitable then for playing a game of actually playing from one end to the other. So you would know what team to go for. If you're the team that potentially you're talking to play narrow with no wingers, and you have a winger that you represent, your player's not really suited for that club. So it's going in and knowing what they want, but also making that first impression. And when you speak to the technical staff at the club, the sporting director, you know how they play, and you know a little bit about what the style is, and you can interact there. It makes a massive impression. Tony, obviously you've had that, Tony.
You're preaching to the converted there, Jed, because there's nothing better then you're almost disarming the guy from the club, the chief scout or the sporting director, because you're saying, I know your club, I know how your head coach likes to set up. I know this position isn't nailed down. You've had somebody on loan here, or there's somebody coming out of contract. I've got a right back that can fill that position. And they'll sit back and they'll go, oh God, that's good. And they're ready and they're listening then, because you've not just gone, oh, he's a player for you, what do you think of him? You've actually done your homework, and this is your homework done for you, and it is, and I'm speaking from experience.
Definitely, that's guys said, it's just a tool that will help you out. And obviously, I mean, David will mention as well, once Squad Plus is purchased, and once you've got it purchased, you'll get regular updates. Basically, I mean, the aim is every week. This is what we're aiming for every week, bar holidays and so on.
Jed, I found that really useful because obviously in the middle of a transfer window, there's players moving in and out of clubs, and when it really starts going, you know, it's hard to keep track of everything. So, you know, the update was really useful to me because I was thinking, oh, right, that position's gone now. There's another position here that's opened up, and it just really keeps you. It's sort of got all in one place for me. You know, you watch Sky Sports and things are on the ticker and you forget, but this was all in one place and I could just use it as a reference tool. Brilliant.
I mean, Tony, the transfer window was changing so rapidly last summer.
Yeah.
And it'll be the same even now when we'll be doing the heat maps for the teams today. They've changed. There's the movement after the weekend. We had to change it again. We're constantly changing. So every time a player joins a club or leaves a club, the heat maps change, and it's not just that one area. That one signing can potentially knock on 2 or 3 different areas as well, or free up another space. Maybe a player that's left the club potentially played in 2 or 3 positions. The guy that's been signed may only fill one of those positions, which means another position has now come available as well. So we keep updating this stuff every week. The information comes through. We update it. And
it's quite a long window, Jed, in the States. I think this window is going to open. I think it's tomorrow, and it goes quite a long way. So, how many sort of a rough idea of what would the guys be getting in terms of updates? Is it once a month or what is it?
No, I mean the idea is we want to do it. Really, is every week. That's the idea of it. It's every week from now till the window closes. There may be points where it's slightly staggered, but the idea is the information is basically updated every week. It was doing last year. In the UK, it was every Friday. And again, and it depends how busy the window is. If there's not an awful lot going on that week, then it may slow down. But we keep information. The flow of information is constantly updated all the time.
Yeah, and it says, and there's a question there saying about the updates, and when how many will there be, and when we'll receive them. So I think you've answered that one, but they get them via email. Is it via email, Jed?
Send it by email. It's sent directly by email, so you can open it on you can open it on your phone or your laptop.
There was a question. Sorry to see what I think Cisco asked a question about. Is it cloud based or is there an app or so on? Currently, the form it comes in is a PDF form. But watch this space. I think during the summer, as we sort of evolve Squad Plus, I think we're going to be moving more onto a sort of software based platform. But for now, it's PDF based and it goes straight to your email.
You gave me a hard copy, so you must have been looking after me, did you, Jed? We're not offering that, but it's a PDF. Yeah,
we had hard copies. Yeah.
That was good. That was good. Thanks, Jed. Thank you.
All right, I think David's going to go. Well, David, if you want to go in and
Yep, I'll go. So this is what we call the random MLS franchise. If any of you can actually tell me what team this is, I'll be really, really happy, but quite shocked. This is an actual MLS team. This is from one of our charts, and I just wanted to sort of reiterate again the age brackets that we have. We've kind of separated the charts into 3 age brackets: 18 to 23, 24 to 28, and 29 plus. We sort of base off of an idea, and this is from Jed and many people in football's idea is that
David, this is exactly what we had at West Ham. This is exactly what we had I created when I was at Orient and Grimsby. Cedric said need a lot of players. Well, Cedric, we'll be asking you in a moment exactly what you. We'll hold that one back because we'll be throwing. Tonight is going to be interactive. You are going to be trying to throw a few answers in for us later on.
The guys want to put in the chat which team they think it is. Come on.
Which team you think it is?
They've got a lot of midfielders. They've got a lot of centre backs. They've only 3 forwards.
We'll have a little look. We'll go.
So which team is it? I mean, this is an interactive part. Have a look. It's not Inter Miami. I'm not going to tell you who it is actually because you'll have this one for free. But I'll just sort of it might be a wry smile. I'm not Cedric. I'm not going to give that away. But the idea is have a look at this and also what team are they? But where in particular do you think they need strengthening?
Yeah. Stick on the positions that they need strengthening in. Is this with the? Is this the how?
Well, this is how it's done. This is how it's done.
James says right back. I think that's a gimme. Yeah. How old's that right back there? It's
So their right back is 25 years old.
Yes.
With the question marks, that's one that we need to go and find out the length
So
of the contract.
maybe a younger right back or an older right back to go with him. Defense, right mid. Yeah. I see there's some
So
good.
guys, you can see how it's done. So that's what the chart, that's what the basic chart looks like. Obviously, the names have been just removed from this one, and but the way we explain this is how it's done. So when you're working for a club and you try and build a squad, these are the areas. So you've got your core. So basically, your goalkeeper, your central defender, your centre midfielder, and your centre forward. As we have on here, our centre forward and also support striker in the same bracket, covering the same area, because those two positions can cross over slightly as well. So they're the four positions that we need to have your core of your team, and you want to have players in your 18 to 23 section. You want your players from your 24 to your 28, and then your 29 plus. Okay, so you want the three of those areas that need to be filled. Now, the idea is that you don't want and advise against it that a club would actually put all the players in the same age bracket, because then there's problems there. I mean, David,
There was a few English clubs, wasn't there, Jed? That
there was one club. Well, yeah, I'll mention that in a little.
And Jed, I've just got a question.
Club that kind of.
Jed, I've got a question from Vasil. Another one. He's on the ball tonight. Do you take into account clubs' transfer history? For example, LAFC prefer to sign young players. Will your system recommend to this club?
We have all that information on there. We know what countries the certain clubs like to sign from, what kind of ages of the players they generally look for. There's a club there that actually like to loan before they buy as well. There's a couple of clubs there as well. So again, this pattern that we know, guys, as well. So again, rather than you potentially pushing a player to a certain club that don't generally, the coach doesn't sign players or doesn't work with players generally from a certain playing style or a certain continent as well. Maybe language barrier as well, potentially.
If anyone knows of a club that's needing a 56-year-old right full back with a dodgy left knee, then I'm your man.
As I was saying, guys, so you've got your four core areas there. So the idea is a team would not want all their centre backs centrally to be. If you had in the 18 to 23 bracket, you could have four central defenders there, and could be fantastic, really good young enthusiastic players, lively, kind of bounce back from injuries. Unfortunately, if they get a few bad results, which will happen, and they'll hit a few bumps on the road, their confidence would be slightly fragile. If, for example, you had all your central defenders in the older age bracket, and again, those guys will give you plenty of experience, potentially could make you win your conference. But injury-wise, when those guys get knocks, they're going to struggle to recover. So the balance needs to be an even one. So from the 18 to 23s to 24s to 28s to 29 plus. Guys in the younger bracket, obviously, there's a potential massive sell-on fee there if those guys are doing well. So the clubs would like a nice even stream across there, some in each group. So usefulness and also experience, and the middle bracket, which is a mixture of both, that's what we're looking for. But other positions, right back, right midfielder, left midfielder, potentially attacking midfielder as well, if the team plays that way, they would generally want two players there. Maybe a third one that might cover 2 or 3 positions. That's how generally they go for. And they would not generally go for potentially 2 right backs with the age of 20. That could be quite a dangerous one. One first choice, maybe one backup, or one senior and one younger one there as well. Maybe another player that might cover 2 positions potentially as well. As we found in the MLS, there's a lot of players that will cover both sides. So that's kind of what a squad looks like. And again, people will say, and I'll say to David, we get this question occasionally. People said, well, we can get this information ourselves, or we know this information.
I kind of want to run the same. By the way, actually, no one's got the team yet. Just putting it out there that no one said the team yet. I just want to play. It's not a game, but it has been said that all of this information is free to air. And now this is a random MLS team. This is an actual MLS team from these individuals, free to air platform. Using just this information, what does this club need? I've blanked out their names, obviously. So
is it answers in the chat again?
Yeah, in the chat again. In the chat,
the guys did well on the positions that were needed. They haven't guessed the club, so
let's got the club right. But
let's see what positions in this.
This specific team.
Wow.
I'm not telling anyone who it was.
But it actually shows you nothing. It doesn't really help whatsoever, and you really are going to have to look between the lines to try and find something now.
I mean, you look primarily at sort of contract expires as an example. You're not really going to go armed with much from this detail. I mean, you've got the height in meters, you've got the foot was for some, you've got the sort of join date. I've got one. Simon said centre back. Johnny Walker says right winger. Few more guys, few more.
I think that was Walker John.
Walker John. Sorry, I thought Johnny Walker. Maybe I'm thinking to later on.
That's the whiskey brand. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can see that there, and if you go back to the chart again, David, isn't it? And then.
So I mean, I don't really want to sort of burst anyone's bubble, but these two here are the same team.
David, I'm just going to ask you this question because this was the question I really feared. And it's from Jan van der Plas. And it says, and this is, I tell you what, I know the guys really well. And do you look at the affiliated USL farm teams, for example, Portland Timbers 2, as an extension of the depth chart? So are you looking at sort of other leagues, or are you looking at the B teams of these teams as well as an extension of the depth chart?
What we have is the actual roster that they've actually got now as well, because obviously their B teams are actually almost like two separate teams. They can actually change. It's not like the UK where a player can go from the 23s and back into the first team. That they're virtually different teams.
Yeah. Okay.
We highlight when a player has moved from one to the other. I know Jan very well as well. And he did the workshop last week, Tony, and he's now become. Funny enough, he's now been turned into a West Ham supporter. As I tell everyone, unfortunately,
you've converted him to a West Ham
as well. As he actually said, he doesn't know how it happened because it was actually after the transfer window. But he has been converted as well. So,
wow!
But I think
they're doing so well at the moment, Jan. It's it's not a bad time to be a West Ham fan, I don't suppose. You can switch next year when they're really struggling at the bottom of the league.
So that's how we. Sorry,
sorry. I just wanted to just go back one. I mean, one of the answers in the chat was that they'd require a centre back, and if you look at the sort of free to air, you'll see on the left hand side that, but according to these guys, they've only got sort of two centre backs. But owing to the sort of the depth of analysis that's done on these teams, we're able to see multiple centre backs. When we're looking at team sheets, we're looking at actual games, MLS games that these guys are playing in. And then we're going through each player by player to make sure that these players are they're playing during this season for that specific club.
And also, really importantly, the secondary positions as well.
Absolutely. So
really important. Player, does he play in one position? Does he cover two or three positions? You can see there. If you look in the left back column, first player you see there in the brackets, right back. So this guy actually can cover at right back as well.
And guys, we're three Englishmen here talking about a league a long way away from where we are at the moment in the States. But you've had some people working on the ground over in the States.
Yeah, no, we've got 4 analysts based in the state, so they're on the ground for us. And they know the local information that's going on, and they know the rules and the regulations of the league, which again, I know it's totally different from what we have in the UK as well. So these guys are advising as well, and from their experience. I know they're here. We'll get a few of them in shortly as well, Tony. And there's Rick. There he is now.
Rick, all right, Rick.
How are you, Rick? There's Rick, and we've got Mitchell there as well. Joining us, Mitch. How are we doing, guys? Rick, Mitchell, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you. Doing well.
Mitchell, just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, where are you at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm actually out in Portland, Oregon, so far west coast. So it's not even noon yet out here, so it's been a good morning so far.
And is that your team, Portland?
Oh yeah, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, so I'm kind of partial to them over in the East Coast. But ever since the past probably 5-6 years, I'm pretty loyal to Portland.
And if you had to support a Premier League team, it would be West Ham, I'm assuming.
I'm sorry to disappoint. Jed already knows this, but it's a different London team up in North London. So up the Gunners.
All right. Oh,
There we
wow.
go.
Wow. Oh, there's
Good
Dave.
man. Good man. Give
Yeah.
that man a raise.
And Mitchell, how have you found working on this? Because I know it's attention to detail. It's quite an onerous task. How have you found working on it?
Yeah, it's something that me and the other three guys have really put a lot of time into, and really had to dig. Not only just going through the transfer market and Y Scout, but also going through, like I think David mentioned, going through team sheets and going through all these different articles that are written, and then really digging deep to find all the details necessary to get it as spot on as we can.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to keep you busy going forward as well.
Yeah, I would expect this is kind of the off-season transfer window for the MLS. So a lot more is going to happen, over the next three months or so. So
yeah, fantastic. And Rick, how are you?
Doing well, trying to stay warm.
Yeah. Oh,
Pretty
I mean,
cool. I'm actually.
Go on, tell us where you are.
I'm about 5 hours north of Chicago, almost in Canada. It's pretty, yeah.
And
It hasn't got above 0 yet today.
All right. Okay. So
Oh yeah, we got snow, 8 inches.
Oh wow. Well,
yeah.
We've just got a nice sort of Christmassy layering. So yeah. And how have you found working on Squad Plus, Rick?
Well, it's kind of interesting. It's like being on a fantasy league, and now you're chasing down all this data so that you can make the most accurate decisions to put your, to get your team, the best it can. I even watch Twitter, and I'm watching Atlanta right now because 2 players have said goodbye, and another one said he's coming, and yet it's nowhere to be found. But it's like, oh, what are they doing? They're saying it before it happens. So yeah, and we look at there's probably got to be 6 different sites right now that we kind of put together, collect as much data as we can, and then get it looked over by Jed. And so we have many eyes on this chart.
And Rick, you have a scouting background. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I scout for the Soccer Syndicate, and I'm pretty much in the youth group there.
Yeah.
So I have that experience, and that was my draw to this product. I'm like, my goodness, if I had this in front of me, I could work smart. I could look at this and say, oh, let's look at a right back. Well, who's my short list for right backs? And so let me get another couple reports on these guys before I go present it to this team, or that's what I'm finding anyway.
Great. Thanks, Rick. We stick around, guys, because I know there'll be plenty of questions, and we've got a few more questions. But if you just crack on, David, with the...
Yeah, we'll do. Sorry, so there are some questions in there, but I'm sure the guys will be able to answer. So this is our sort of chart. This was its equivalent on free to air, free platform, with the sort of lack of information on there. This is that very same team, but what you do find is as we go through the window with specific updates, we kind of take off those that have run out of contract, and now this is what this specific team look like right now. This is their current roster.
Oh wow. Wow. So there's
sort of taking away those that are out of contract and left the club. This is what that current club looked like.
So now the needs are many, aren't there? I mean, if we look at the needs now, there's quite a lot of gaps in there, isn't there?
There is, and going back to what you guys wrote on the chat, absolutely quite right. We've got the red in the young age bracket for right back, young centre midfielder, and then they are in need of a right midfielder. You'll also see sort of attacking midfield. There's some red in there too.
Yeah, just let's go back a little bit, because I've got a good question here from Dave, who's at Manchester United. If anyone's heard of them, I know they're they're a bit higher than Rotherham in the league in this country, but Dave asks, can you explain a couple of things? An SNR question mark, is that after Rick's name? That's senior. Reed senior. So that's that one done. I know that one. No, joking aside, he said SNR. What's that stand for?
Mitchell, do you want to explain them for the guys?
Yeah, so the MLS roster, it's very much different from the way you guys do it over in Europe. There's kind of different labels and tags that are put on different players, mostly based on their kind of contract status. And so the first three I think you'll see are the senior 1 to 20, the like SUPP support or supplemental, I should say, 21 to 24, and then I think supplemental 25 to 30. Those are more kind of contracted details in terms of what those players can earn in terms of their salary, and kind of their spots on the roster. The other ones that are in there, the GA is for Generation Adidas. Those are special contracts for players coming out of the college ranks here in the States. And then the last one I think that's on there there's a couple more actually. The INTL is for international players. Each team in the MLS gets a certain number of international player slots that they can fill.
Yeah.
And those are basically any players that either are not U.S. citizens or do not hold a green card for the United States. And then the DP is a designated player, which each team in the MLS gets 3 of those players. And basically their salary, it's kind of, if you really want to think about it in simple terms, it's kind of like the star players for each team.
Yeah.
Basically,
Zlatan Ibrahimovic is of this world.
Right. Yeah. Basically, their contracts, their salaries won't count against the salary cap for that team.
Yeah.
So it basically gives you 3 star players that you can kind of go out and spend a lot of money on without.
Thanks, Mitchell. That's brilliant. I mean, Dave, I know from doing a recent webinar, doing business in the USA, the MLS are very, very prescriptive about what your squad looks like. You know, you've got a potential squad of 30 players, and the MLS sort of tell the clubs, right, you can have certain players in these number 1 to 20 or whatever, and then certain amount of players that you're going to pay differently. So they're very, very prescriptive on everything. And obviously the other overriding point to mention is all of the players are actually contracted to the MLS. So they're the paymasters as well, which is interesting. But yeah, let's move on. That was a great question, Dave. Thanks for that.
It was, sorry, the only other thing I was going to say is this is all on every single team's chart. So you will know how many DPs they've got. You'll know how many international players they've got. You'll know how many seniors they've got, to be able to know if the players within your own organization would be able to be a fit for this team.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of information there, guys. But I said we've gone through an awful lot of work there, compressed it, and actually highlighted it, so you can see exactly what the club is looking for. And again, you can see the heat maps there exactly from now. What I'll do, I'll switch over one, David, as well, if I can get the screen share. That's possible there, and I'll try and break this down for you even clearer, guys. So this is possible as well. Okay, all right. So let's see this one here for you now. 1 second. Okay, is that switched over now, guys? Can you see that one? Yep.
You're on.
Oh, that's the same one. Sorry. There you go. There you go. 1 second.
Talk amongst yourselves while Jed masters the wonders of Zoom. This webinar has been brought to you by the Football Transfer Forum, Rick Reed, Mitchell Jocelyn, David Patton, Jed Searson of S4 Scouting. I'm filling, Jeddy. I'm filling.
I'm here.
Jed of S4 Scouting. It's also a production that's been done in my office in Jesmond in Newcastle. Anything else, guys? Help me out here. I'm running dry. But seriously, you know, it's a launch for the MLS, and obviously for those of you that don't know, Canadian clubs are in the MLS as well. So it's not just about the States. What we got, Vancouver is the example. Who else is
So we
the
got Vancouver Whitecaps, the renamed Club de Foot Montreal.
What?
Formerly Montreal
French.
Impact.
It's gone French.
They are in Montreal and Quebec, so it
Okay.
does make sense.
Cool.
And then the last one is Toronto FC.
Right. And is there a scope for any Mexican clubs to join, or is it open season in America? You know, you're allowed.
There have been some serious discussions about the MLS and the Mexican league combining for a kind of a North American super league, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But those are rumors, and that'll happen if
Yeah.
it does, you know, years from now.
Absolutely. And obviously we'll probably have more American owners coming to buy up clubs and football agencies in the UK. I mean, one of the things that I have to put I'm going to put my cards on the table here and say, I do not like the fact that the MLS does have no relegation. For me, relegation in football makes it exciting, nerve-jangling, costly, and it also gives those clubs a chance who want to go up through the leagues. And are we here, Jed? Are we?
Yeah, we're there. We're here. Sorry.
Thanks for that, guys. Anyway, Jed,
I had about 15 different applications going at the same time. All right. Okay. So, right. What I'm going to try and do here for you guys, if you get it. All right. I'm going to try to create that team meeting, that transfer meeting that would go on at a club. So you've got a little bit of an idea of how it's put together. So what we've put together here, let me just slide there. Okay, that was the MLS Eastern Conference table from last season now. So we had Philadelphia that won the Eastern Conference, but unfortunately got knocked out. And I believe in the first round, Mitchell, was it? The first round of the playoffs, they're eliminated, wasn't they?
I think that's a better question for Rick. I can't remember.
Okay,
It was early. It was early.
It was earlier than expected.
Too early.
So let's put on the cap of this is quite an easy. So basically, we're basically going to give this one to you, right? So you can see what this one is. This is an example for you. So Philadelphia won the conference last year. Their coach is Jim Curtin. So obviously he's in charge of the club at the moment. Now his preferred style of formation last year was a 4-3-1-2 or a 4-1-3-2. I put both there because basically the formations can't really be nailed down, because when the team is in and out of possession, the formation changes, and it would change at transitions as well. So you've got generally the idea of what the team was like in and out of possession. But how they played was with a back four, played with a narrow midfield that would shuffle across and break, that looked to play with an attacking midfielder behind the front two. So that's how the team plays. Okay, there's the shape line up there for you. You can see the back four, one sort of holding midfielder with three ahead and the two strikers. So we know that's the style of play. So right, first of all, so that's again, this is the club how they would structure themselves. That's their regular kind of formation, but it obviously changes throughout the game as well. Now the biggest issue they've had for this year is they've lost their young starlet. Mark McKenzie was there, probably a star player. I would say, Rick, would you say one of the star players, star performers there?
He was at least one of the young guns. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so this guy's 21. He's moved to Genk. He's moved to Europe, which is an area that the club looks to sell to. So they've lost one guy. They've also lost their attacking midfielder, Brendan Harrison, to Red Bull Salzburg. So they've lost two of the biggest stars straight away. So
are these guys, Rick? Maybe a question for you. Are these guys internationals, young internationals for the USA?
They're Americans now playing international. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I believe they're both capped for the U.S. men's national team, senior team.
Oh
So,
wow. Wow.
It
So
is.
the guys in Europe who are watching this, watch for this guy at Brendan at Red Bull, and what was the other guy?
Mark McKenzie.
Mark McKenzie at Genk, and two really good clubs. And I'm not going to suggest the stepping stone because Red Bull's a massive, they've got 3 or 4 clubs around the world. But if they do well at Genk and Red Bull, where's next? I wonder. The Premier League, and if they're lucky, they might just squeak into West Ham's squad at some point.
It could always happen. You never know. So that's their squad at the moment. See, I know I've only got it on small. I'm going to try to open this up. Is that on full screen now? Is that full screen?
Yeah, that's fine, Jed.
Full screen now. Okay, all right. So, all right, so I'll go through the slides. I apologise, guys. All right, so you can see the formation there. They've been playing. They've lost 2 players. This is their current squad at the moment now. Okay, so you can see this. So this is what we've given to you. So this is what them as a club are faced with at the moment now. So they've lost the young starlet at the back. They've lost their attacking midfielder that only also shipped in with 4 goals and a number of assists during the season as well. So there's 2 players straight away that they need to replace, but also they've lost the senior centre midfielder and they've also lost 2 of the strikers. One was a first choice and one was a young striker. So again, they've got positions that need opening now. Now, if you're an agent now, and you've got a left winger that's been superb, hugging the touchline, whipping crosses in. Unfortunately, this is probably not the team for you for your player, shall I say, because at the moment they've not been playing that way. They're playing in a narrow. So if you can look there now, the right midfield and left midfield area is actually quite open because they're looking to play with central midfielders that can break out again. So as someone who was a typical wide player, potentially wouldn't fit in that they're after. But they've lost, as I said, they've lost 1 centre back. Now that they need to replace him now. He's a young guy there. Now there's 2 options happening there. Either look for another good young player to come through. And again, that's maybe not always easy to sign because everyone's after that player. Or do they try and replace him now with an older senior head player that can fill that gap there for the rest of the season? Because at the moment they've only got 1 guy that's actually in the senior bracket who actually never played any games last year. He was injured for a point and came back and never got into the team. So potentially they're going to be looking for a centre back. So are they going to be looking for a senior one or a younger one now? The goalkeeper area at the moment, they've got 3 goalkeepers there. So probably unlikely they may not bring another one in. Potentially maybe in the middle bracket, potentially. The right back area, that's quite well covered. Even the left back area is quite well covered. So potentially there might be one that might go in there. Centre midfield, they may need one in the senior bracket there as they've lost the centre midfielder. But again, they may look for one to fill in the middle area to fill that area. Attacking midfield are definitely going to looking for a player to respond to replace the guy they've lost to Europe. Again, are they going to try and find a younger player there that can come through, which may not be easy to find, or do they look for a senior player then, or in the middle age bracket to fill that area at the moment? And then for the strike in the forward area, yes, a centre forward or a support striker, they're going to be looking for another player there. So you can look from the squads, you know how to start a play, you know what kind of players have left. Also, you're looking at different areas there. Can players cover in other positions as well? And there's a few guys can play in a few different positions as well. So looking for the information we're there, and that's quite a straightforward one.
Sorry, Jed, could you go back one? Just I just want to I don't think we've touched on something. Just looking at the different colours on the names, you'll see there's quite a lot of red for Philadelphia Union. It's almost self-explanatory, but maybe it isn't. So those that are in red, their contract's running out in 2021. The individual in blue in the middle, centre midfielder, his contract's running in 2022, and then you've got this sort of black name is 2023. And so throughout the window, we're looking at those players that are leaving or being released. We're also looking at the sort of contracts that are being renewed and updated, and obviously the name will change colour based on what that information is that we get. But also, again, with your agency in mind or your players in mind, it's a great time to now go and have a look at these teams and say, actually, I've got a better attacking midfielder than what you've got. And this is why. They may have scored more goals. They may have created more assists. They may be the correct age for them. And it might be that, you are able to get your foot in the door and talk to that club or talk that club out of offering their current player another contract.
Guys, and from that information now, my heat maps are down to put together. So as I clearly slated there, obviously the centre back area is an obvious one. This is quite a straightforward one. We'll go back to David's chart again in a moment, and again it's a far more complicated one there than this one. Again, the points that I've just raised there, instantly there, at a touch, bang, straight away, you know what club to contact. If you've got a good young centre back, or maybe a senior centre back that's going to be doing that job for this club, that are pretty ambitious as well, again, your guy might suit the needs of this club here. They're taking midfield. So this is quite a straightforward one. And even when you've got information now, right, I've got a player there, straight away look on now. We've even got the names of the guys that you need to be contacting there as well. On the bottom left there, the recruitment contacts, and their LinkedIn details as well. So if you've got that information there at hand, we're actually saying to you, right, these are the people that you need to be contacting straight away as well. Tony, is that a helpful tool from an agent's point of view?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you probably should know people in clubs, but people do move around so much that that's just a useful reference point. And I like the incoming transfers, because you can see where players are coming in from, and you know, you can sort of get a feel for, do they take, you know, are they coming in from the lower, the league, the reserve team sort of thing, the second team, are they coming in, where are they coming in from, and do they take South American players? And I think that's useful. And the transfer commentary is also useful to me. I really like that. And I just think it's very, very clear. It's once, you know, Jed, David and the guys have explained it, and once you start using it, you'll realize how, you know, what all the information means, and it's just dead easy to put it together.
It's even more in detail than that. Tony even said, even the guy that we said that the young centre back that's leaving is right-footed, but he actually was playing left side. Central defender. So they're going to be looking for a left-footed centre back, ideally. Ideally, because the guy was playing with both feet. But again, if you've got a left-sided central defender there, or someone's comfortable playing left, again, that's in the detail that we have there. And we have this information in the commentary as well. So it's just trying to make life as easy as possible for you guys as well. So if you're looking for this information now, again, but I'm just trying to create a scenario that what clubs would, this is how clubs would function. Let me just stop the share there. How do I stop this now? It took me long enough to get on it. Now I need to learn how to get off the screen share. There we go. There you go. All right. So
obviously, we've directed people towards the website. You know, we're going to start wrapping up shortly. Where is it? You know, you can provide some support and help if they want to buy the Squad Plus tonight.
They can go for it. So on the website, David brings up again on the website itself. We actually have there's a free download on there at the moment as well. So if you want a free little example of one of the charts from earlier in the window, it's on there. So you can log on to that, and that will get you going. David, there we go. All right, so it's Squad Plus there. So you can get a free download straight away, and then we've got the packs on there at the moment. So as you can see at the moment, the pack is once purchased, you've got that from the whole window. It's on a discount at the moment, so it's on $210. And again, it's once purchased, you get that for the whole window. Until the window closes, we will constantly be updating the information for you every week.
Yeah,
so it keeps you on your, you know exactly what's moving and who's coming and who's moving out, and our heat maps are constantly changing as well to help you guys with that information.
Great. Thank you so much, Jed. David, was there anything else you'd like to add? Thank you for the presentation as well, and Rick and Mitchell. You know, is there anything else you'd like to add, guys? Are you looking forward to the transfer window and all the work it's going to bring?
I would say the hard part's over. Now it's just updating, getting all the information at the beginning is the tough part. But now it's just tracking teams on Twitter, on their websites, everything. It'll a little bit easier.
Yeah, and Rick will be stalking players on the Twitter accounts and all the all the social media to find out what's really going on in the States and in Canada as well. But thank you ever so much, Jed and David. It's been a really good evening. I hope everyone, you know, has enjoyed it as much as I have. Squad Plus, you know, I'm singing the praises. I've used it. I know how good it is, and hopefully it'll take America and the MLS by storm in this window. So thanks, guys. Just one last thing for me. We've got the next webinar. It's called Doing Business in Brazil. That's back end of this month. If you're interested, if you're an agent and you're interested in working in Brazil, we've got a top world-renowned lawyer called Marcus Motta, who is the go-to man for any Brazilian football deals. He's going to be on explaining a little bit about that market, how to get into it, how to work in it, and how to do deals. So that's coming up on the 25th of Feb. But other than that, guys, thank you ever so much, and take care and good night.
Guys, good night, guys.
Good night,
Go onto the website, get your free download, and any
Yeah.
questions, drop us a line, guys. We're super.
Cheers, Jed. Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. Good night.
Well done,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thanks for coming.